Hello everyone, welcome to this week's video. I hope you're all okay. I hope some of you are getting just a bit of time off. It's not our holiday, it's not our Yom Tov. However, I often tell people it's the only one where I actually feel a bit of holiday, because when it comes to Yom Tov, if you're a rabbi, you're busy worrying about selling the chometz, the building the sukkahs, the sermons, the preparations, the food. Whereas here, the country shuts down, and hopefully we can all, rather than celebrate it, just take a couple of breaths and breathe a sigh of relief. Today, Friday the 25th, is actually in the Hebrew calendar Asar B'Teves, which means it's a fast day, the 10th of Teves, which commemorates the siege of Jerusalem by the Babylonians in the time of the First Temple, and that was the beginning of the end. From that siege, eventually the walls were broken, as we know on Shiva Asar B'Tammuz, and then the temple was destroyed 3 weeks later on Tisha B'Av. So really the point at which it all started to go bad, to go pear-shaped for the people of Jerusalem was the siege. The siege is, of course, a time of hunger and terrible starvation and pain and disruption, and we remember those events today on Shiva Asar B'Teves. I want to take a moment to also wish Chaim Aruchim to the family of the late Solomon Goldman, Olav HaSholem, who passed away in Sydney, Australia. Many of you will know that until his emigration a year or two ago, Solly was a senior trustee of the congregation, and we wish his wife, Baroness June, his children and his grandchildren, Chaim Aruchim, long lives, and we hope they'll only know simchas in the future. You know, this week's Sedra is one of the most dramatic of the entire Torah. Joseph had accused his brothers of being spies, of wanting to disrupt and attack Egypt, and they'd had to fight to clear their name. And just when everything seemed to have worked out, and he sent them on their merry way, he sent a messenger to ask them why they'd taken his silver goblet. They, of course, hadn't done such a thing, not knowing that it was planted in the sack of Binyamin. It was eventually found, and Binyamin was taken back to Joseph as a slave. At which point, vayigash Yehuda draws himself forward and says, "Take me instead, because my father would be so desperately pained if he were to see that Binyamin didn't return. It was his greatest fear, sending his only son from Rachel. His only remnant left was Binyamin. If he sees he is not back with us, he says he'll die. He won't be able to cope. So please take me." I said, "I'm stronger, I'm older, I'm more useful. Take me as a slave instead." And at that point, when Joseph saw how the brothers had repented, in the sense that they now cared for each other in a way that they hadn't cared for him, he could no longer contain himself. And we're told he sent everyone out the room, and he revealed himself to his brothers, and he said those famous words, "Ani Yosef, ha'od avichai." I am Joseph. Is my father still alive? And we're told the brothers could not answer him, because they were absolutely gobsmacked. They were just confused. They were in a state of utter shock. They had never imagined in their wildest dreams that Joseph would somehow survive as a slave in Egypt. And even if he had survived as a slave, there was never the slightest doubt in their mind that this man in front of them, the Prime Minister of Egypt, could be that brother. And the Medrash tells us a very fascinating lesson that it takes from this episode. It says, "Oy lanu liyom hadin." Woe to us all on the day of judgment. Oy lanu liyom hateichacha. Woe to us on that day of rebuke. And the commentaries explain it means that, we all in life make assumptions. And we all live a certain way. And we always convince ourselves that we do it because we had to, because we've got no choice, because we can't change. And of course we can. And when we get to heaven one day, Hashem's going to show us what we did. And the embarrassment will be so great. It'll be worse than the brothers and Joseph. We'll just be utterly speechless from shame and confusion and embarrassment. Of course, if we really, really try, we can change. And everybody can, even if it's a small change, can make small and regular attempts at spiritual growth and improving the observance of Torah mitzvahs, of trying that bit harder. I have a friend in Israel who has a very, very severe obesity. And this week he posted on Facebook that, he's managed to lose 100 pounds of weight. And he still has further to go. That tells you what size he was. And that inspires me and it inspires us all, because we all constantly give ourselves excuses. That's how our minds work. But when we really want to do things, we can do them. And when we don't do them, one day we're going to get there to the world of truth, and we're going to have to admit the truth. So let's all make the effort to grow, not to live a life of assumptions, not to live a life of excuses, but to make this a year, 2021, where we're going to be the people we really want to be. Have a great Shabbos.